So we do all the marketing, communications, and public relations, video broadcast to all of our campuses, website, social media, you name it. If it communicates, it passes through my team. And I love what we do, and I think that I have the best job on earth. And so I'm excited to talk to you guys today about just how we market a product that is really intangible. We can't really we can't really see it. We can sometimes get a grasp on it, but it really is a life that we sell. And I think whenever we're talking about marketing in terms of the church world, people especially in the church world, start to kind of get a little twitchy. You're marketing Jesus, he's a product, there has to be that has to be heretical. There has to be some scripture that says adamantly against that. But the reality is, it's true. We sell in the same way that those of you who have customers and do sell a tangible product, we sell in the same way. We just sell a little bit differently. And so I don't think of it as that I am selling Jesus. I think of it as that my team is selling the biblical promise that Jesus gives us in John 10:10, which is when he says, I came that they might have life and have it to the full. So that's why we're talking about marketing the full life today, because that's what I believe that I'm really selling. I'm selling that promise, and it's intangible, and it is it's the benefit of Jesus. It's the benefit of knowing Jesus. And beyond that, it's even the return on the investment to investing your life into a relationship with Jesus. What does that return? And the promise is that it returns a full life. And so within that, our product line, if you will, which is what we sell the full life within, is also unique in that it's also for the most part intangible. So we have our weekend services, which are experiences. We have our sermon series. We have events. We have volunteer opportunities. We have children's ministry. We have outreach. We have small groups. And so it's through these different channels that we sell this full life in the biblical promise from John 10:10. And for a really long time, we were not able to articulate that. We were we felt like we're marketing Jesus, and we're we want people to come to our events, and yes, Jesus is good and he has a great plan for your life, but we couldn't bring down to earth what that promise was and what the full life actually looked like. And so frankly, our messaging was just kind of all over the place. We were sending out messages to people that weren't connecting, whether on social media, through video, through a postcard. We were having some success, which I believe is only by the grace of God, because we were kind of a hot mess in terms of what we were aiming for, and we were not hitting our target. And so a few years ago, we just realized exactly how all over the place we were, and we felt like we were just kind of frantically grabbing it. What do we do? How do we promote? What exactly is it that we're selling? And we hit a crossroads where we were okay, we need to, we're selling this full life, but that is so overwhelming. What does that even mean? What is the full life? What comprises it? Because we're trying to sell this full life, every aspect of a full life in everything that we do, and it's bogging us down and confusing people. And so we decided to dive into what comprises the full life. And we came up with this chart. And so where we were thinking, we're selling the full life, but that's too lofty. That's a really lofty concept. It's not something that people can really wrap their minds around. So let's bring it down, and what actually is the full life that's promised to us in Jesus. And so we just started brainstorming and throwing stuff out. And so when you are living a full life, we believe that you're experiencing personal growth. We believe that you have a legacy that you're living in, and also that you're leaving behind. We believe that you are secure, and you're secure eternally. You know where you're going when you die. We believe that you have healthy relationships, that you know what your purpose is, and that you're living that out, that you're experiencing belonging, that you're having fun. We believe a full life is supposed to be fun. We're supposed to laugh, and we're supposed to find joy. We also believe that we all want to be a part of something that's bigger than ourselves. We want some context and a place in the universe, and all of these things. And these are actually things that this is a graphic chart, but that it's flexible. So we're adding to it. We're not taking away from it, but there's always new things that are coming up for us in the realm of what a full life is. And so within this, now our product line has some context. So instead of everything that we do, selling every single aspect of the full life, we have set up our products to sell an aspect or two of the full life. And so when we take we'll go into this a little bit more here in a minute, but when we take a sermon series or something, we will pick like what aspect of the full life do we want that to sell, like, and that as we sell aspects of the full life, we sell Trinity as a whole, because every single aspect through every avenue with which we sell it comprises the whole that is Trinity Fellowship and the message that we are trying to bring out. And so I would argue that even if you do not have, if you have a tangible product to sell, if you have a service that you're offering, if you literally have a product that you are selling, you still actually do sell something that's intangible. It may not be the full life like what we have up here, but it might be a feeling about your product or service. How does your customer service make people feel? What is the belief that you're instilling to people about your product, with the words that you're using, with the art that you're putting out there, with the way you're treating your customers, et cetera, et cetera. And so I believe that that as we sell, whether or not we want to, we are selling something that is intangible. And so we at Trinity, because our product is intangible, we wanted to make sure that we were actually selling the intangible thing that we want to sell. And so if you are, I'm looking at Rick and Sylvia. So if you are if you're a hairstylist with a salon, like your product might be a cut and color service, but what do you really want to market associated with your cut and color? Is it you do a great job of cutting hair and coloring, or is it beauty and confidence that you want to instill in the people that are coming in to get that cut and color? And then beyond that, what makes up beauty and confidence? Because if you want to take it another layer below and get out some spokes on the wheel, what make up beauty and confidence? Those are the things that you're actually selling. So if your product is like a landscaping service, for example, what do you want to sell to your customers? Let's say it's success, that you can sell success through your landscaping service. So what's encompassed in success? Maybe, just hypothetically speaking, a strong, healthy family is encompassed in success. Well, my landscaping business helps you be successful because I'm doing something that you don't have time to do, so that you can spend extra time with your family and build healthy relationships, and therefore I am contributing to your success. I am selling success to you. So even if you are, if you're selling a pin, like, or a t-shirt, like, people are receiving messages, intangible messages through your product, and you can determine, and we have determined exactly what intangible products we want to sell, and so we design all of our messaging, all of our artwork as such. I was even thinking about, Amarillo. If you're even selling something that really is intangible, like a city. When I think of Amarillo, I think of my hometown. Like, it feels like home to me. And so I would think, okay, what are all the things that make up home? And I would think comfort. I would think fun. I would think good food. I would think security, and just like the feeling of like being curled up next to a fireplace, like that good kind of home. That's what I think about when I think about Amarillo. And so that's even one way that like something like this chart could apply to where you are, is you're selling something. What is it that you're selling, and what is it that you want to be selling, and what makes up your intangible product? And so that's how we began to bring down to earth what we were feeling, which was, we got to wrap our minds around this thing, this full life thing. What exactly is that? What makes it up, and how then do we sell it? And so once we kind of got our brains wrapped around this, we went to the how, which is not so revolutionary, but it was really revolutionary for me, and it is tell the story. And I know that like storytelling is something that has been around for a long time. I mean, since humanity began. It's not revolutionary in and of itself. And it's actually become, in the last several years, more commonplace in the marketing world. You tell a story with your brand, with your product, with your service. You are telling a story. And so what kind of story do you want to tell? But whoever said this, tell the story. I wrote down some genius because it just like changed my life. Like some genius said this, and I'm really grasping onto it. And I told Jody before we got here today. She and I were having lunch like about a month ago, and I said, Jody, like I am so happy to come and speak at this lunch. I'm so happy to, like, I appreciate the invite. And at the same time, like, I know the church world. So the church world is what I live and breathe. And yes, I do marketing and advertising, and communications in the church world, but I don't live in that world. And so I was like, I'm concerned that I don't have anything to offer that would make sense and translate to what you guys do in your realms. And so she said, I think you actually kind of laughed at me a little bit when I said that. But she said, Bree's going to be okay. Just come and share what you do. And I said, okay, I'll come and share what I do. And this is what we do. We tell the story. And because, I have my degree in communications from Texas A&M. However, I went straight from there into the church world. And as you know, the marketing and communications world changes all the time. It's a fluid and fluctuating area. And so a lot has changed since I graduated with my communications degree. And so I found myself in this place of like, I feel like I need to go back to school and learn all this all over again. And then out came the idea, I can't even remember who said it to me, but it changed my life. Tell the story. Tell the story. And I was like, I get storytelling. I did drama when I was growing up. I was in musical theater. I was in the Play Texas down in Palo Duro Canyon several years ago. And so I was like, that is easy for me to wrap my mind around. I can wrap my mind around telling a story because that's kind of the way that I've grown up. And so it also began to like revolutionize our communication team. And so we have what we call our Monday powwow at 9 o'clock on Monday mornings, and it's where my team just gets together. We chat about where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And for months and months and months, what we talked about was tell the story, tell the story, tell the story, tell the story, and just getting this mantra in our minds that would help us then shift our methods for how we told the story. And so what we've done is we've taken 3 big steps. These are things that we have done and adopted into what we do at Trinity in marketing and communications. 3 steps to telling the story. So I'll walk us through those. The first one is pick a plot line. And I love this quote because I have 3 children, 5 and under, and we watch a lot of Pixar in our house. And one of their favorite movies is Inside Out. And have y'all seen Inside Out? Okay. So in this one scene, one of the characters is watching a dream sequence, and the dream is just all over the place. And he's sitting behind the control center watching this dream, and he goes, "Boo! Pick a plot line." And so my kids like started saying that around the house, "Boo! Pick a plot line." You know, we were kind of like all over the place, and I found that it really applies here too. Pick a plot line. Know where you're going to go. Pick your story based off of our full life chart. So we started going back to our full life graphic and determining what story we wanted to tell for an event, for a sermon series, for even our weekend experiences, for our small groups, for our community ministry. So we picked our story. We were like, what kind of story do we want to tell for this sermon series? Maybe it's a fun story that we want to tell, and so we're going to focus on fun in our promotion. Or maybe it's a personal growth story, or maybe it's one about giving of yourself. But we chose a primary story through which we could funnel all of our messaging, and we would go back to the story and make sure that what we were doing aligned with the story that we chose to tell. Then we would choose maybe 1 or 2 subplots. And in the beginning, we just picked one because we're like not good at telling a story yet. So we got to know what kind of story we're going to tell, and we're just going to stick to that one story. And as we did it a little bit, we started realizing we can incorporate some subplots as well. And so we could tell a fun story that also is about giving of yourself. And we could tell a story about freedom that also explores a little bit of purpose. And so we would choose our subplots that would complement and supplement the primary story that we were wanting to tell. And that's tough. Like, that was really tough for us because we could say that just about everything that we did encompassed all of these. So, well, yeah, that's about personal growth. Yeah, we're going to experience personal growth in this sermon series. Well, yeah, we're going to experience blessing, of course, in this sermon series. Well, yeah, like we're going to tell some jokes, so it's going to be fun. Well, it's a sermon series, so it's about spiritual life. And we just found ourselves really needing to get into a discipline of all these things are good. All of these things are good, but which one is going to be great? What is the great story that's going to be that we need to tell that can best communicate what we're doing, tell the story of this event, this sermon series, this whatever it is, which one is the best one? So it was a real discipline for us to pick one and run with it. And sometimes we picked the wrong one, but frankly, we kept running with it because we'd chosen it, we stuck with it, and we're going to see it through. So part of the reason why we do this is because if you confuse, you lose. And this is a quote that I love. It's also become another mantra on my team. We're a team of mottos and slogans and all of that. So tell the story is one. My new favorite one is you confuse, you lose. And this is the reason why we pick a primary story to tell and a couple of subplots to throw in there, is because the more messages we're sending out, the more we don't know what we're doing, we're confusing people. And I came across this quote from Donald Miller, who does StoryBrand. I want to encourage you, if you don't know what StoryBrand is, it's awesome. So Donald Miller is an author who he was actually in the Christian sector for a while and then broke away to focus on branding. And what he does is incorporates the principles of story and how you tell a story. He teaches you how to incorporate those into your brand and develop your brand based off of story and tell your story through your brand, through your marketing, through your messaging. And so he says, if you confuse, you lose. And what we realized is we were being confusing. So we were telling one story one day and another story another day about the same thing, about a sermon series or about an event. And people weren't responding to us. And whether it be on social media or they were asking questions that we were we thought we were addressing this in our, you must have no idea what it is that we're doing, because we are being really confusing, frankly. And so there we realized we need to, after we pick our plot line, the next step for us was to bring it and only it to life, to choose that story and to stick with it. And this was where the rubber really met the road for us, was after you get an idea, let's say about a sermon series or an event or small groups or whatever it is that we're promoting, we know what story we want to tell. Now it's time to bring that story to life through art, through wording, through a video, through word of mouth. How do we want people to communicate about this thing this product that we're selling in the aspect of the full life that we're trying to promote. And so when we would submit artwork to our designers and give them direction, we get that artwork back, analyze the fire out of it. Is this fun? Does this look fun? If it doesn't look fun, we need to start over, because that's the story we're telling. And every single thing that we do, whether it's art, whether it's a word, whether it's a social media post, has to tell that cohesive story. And so if we would just pour over the wording that we put into our bulletin, and we still do. This is a selling point. This is the weekend bulletin. This is where people are going to get a taste of what this is. Does it sound fun if we're selling fun? Does it include personal growth if we're selling personal growth? Obsessing over the wording that we would use, and we still do this. We've just got some iterations under our belt, so we kind of know what we're doing a little bit more. So I'm going to now, I'm going to show you just kind of an example of something that we just kind of really failed at before we kind of got our feet underneath us and talking about telling the right story and how we do that now. So every year for the last 4 or 5 years, we've done this sermon series called At the Movies, and it's where we take a movie, like a Hollywood blockbuster movie, and we pick a message out of it. And we film one of our pastors as if he is in the movie, teaching a message through the movie. And it was supposed to be made a fun selling point, something that we hoped would get people in our doors who maybe were turned off by church, and who had a bad feeling about church, but they might come to a movie. So if we could get them here, then we could grab them and we could show them other aspects of the full life. And so I'll show you just we did a lot of promotional stuff for At the Movies back in 2015 is the one I'm going to show you, and we did this mailer. And here is, sorry, I forgot one point. So this check mark says, okay, check your channels and choose the ones that will best work with your message. So just as important as your wording, as your art, et cetera, are the channels through which you are funneling your message. So is your message best portrayed on a billboard? Is it best on social media? In the same way that we had to narrow down what our message was, we also had to choose which channels were best for us and really analyze, like not just throw something out on social media because that's what you do is you get on social media, but to pick which ones were actually the best. So here is a mailer that we did. This is the front and back of a mailer that we did for At the Movies 2015 series. It says, you and your family are personally invited to be our guests. Join us for an exciting 3-week series where we'll unpack biblical truths from some of Hollywood's biggest blockbusters. So we would have said back then in 2015, yeah, we're selling fun. Like, this is fun. But when I look at this today, I think there's not anything fun about that. Like, maybe the logo right there is maybe like a little bit fun, but the most fun kind of words like exciting is on there and blockbusters is on there. Like those are a little bit exciting, but actually what we're doing is you and your family are personally invited to be our guests. That's a little bit exclusive actually. And so we're when we want people to come in, and we don't want them to be our guests, we want them to stay. But here we're calling them guests, and then we're not looking very fun. And so we sent this mailer out, and we did it at the time when like communications companies like Suddenlink started sending out those tricky envelopes where the handwritten name, like it looked like it was a card for somebody, and they got you to open it, and then you're like, oh, this is from Suddenlink? Like, we did that. We were like, yeah, like that's a great idea for us. So we did that with this mailer, and we mailed it to people, like with writing that looked like handwriting. We put some little like flyers in there for At the Movies, and we thought we were like really hitting our target. And what we didn't know is that we weren't. And no one, like, we didn't hear of actually like any response to that mailer. Normally, like sometimes we'll hear something, but we didn't hear anything. And we had that same messaging going on social media, in like a couple of local ad places we did. Like we had that going on there too, and we just weren't getting any response at all. And so last year, in 2017, we did the same series. Same, like, put the movies on the screen, put the pastor in the movie, we're going to have popcorn, we're going to have Coke in church. We're doing the exact same thing. But this time, we filtered everything through our full life chart. And we knew we want to tell a fun story. So everything we do, like, it's got to look fun. Like, it has to, the wording needs to be fun. We're also selling some personal growth. So that's one of our subplots. So we got to think about ways that we can incorporate that into there. And so this was last year's mailer for the same series. And we first focused on our wording. Like, okay, what might be something that's really fun, but like might get you thinking a little bit, like we're at church. What does a church mean when they say, like, think outside the box office? Like, we're like, let's play on words, because playing on words is fun. This might not make you want to like jump up and down and have a party and like laugh out loud, but that play on words, like for us, we felt like it evoked some fun. Popcorn and going to the movies. Like, okay, that's something that is fun, but we're also asking you to think outside the box office. So we're encouraging you that there's something here for you, which for us, we would never say it this way, but for us, it would be personal growth. Like, when you think outside the box office, we're inviting you to experience some personal growth through this series. And so what we did, I'll show you this other thing that we did just because I like it. So we set out to, like, this play on words. We decided we want to play on words, and that's going to be like how we kind of get like fun going in people. And so everything that we did was a play on words. So we put out social media graphics that were like, you know, movie quotes that were twisted just a little bit to like to share a little bit about the experience that we're doing. And then we did, let me see if I can get this to play. So we did just fun little social media videos like this that were just fun, like, and just like maybe something that would be like, oh, that's cool. And then at the end of it came our messaging. It's the real deal. So we're like putting out like just little plays on words like that. We have some movie reels. We're talking about it being the real deal. We're also saying like this is the real deal. Like, you're going to really get something out of this. It might be a movie in church, but movies are fun, and we're inviting you to have fun at church. And then the other thing that we did through, when I was talking earlier about picking your channels, we wanted to prioritize for this particular campaign that we did. We wanted to prioritize our congregation, because if you have customers, like, your customers are your biggest selling point. The way they're talking about you, the way they're sharing what you do really matters, and that can make or break a sale for you and maybe some attendance for us. And so what we wanted to do was use our congregation as our biggest selling point. So we wanted to create social media posts and graphics that they would share and help generate interest that way. So we were like, we got to be interesting enough that our congregation will share this. We also have to tell our story the right way, and we also have to get our subplots in there and incorporate them the right way. So that's just an example of a way that we did that last year. Here's one that we are currently working on. So we have a women's conference coming up next week, and this was an event, like an example of how we would funnel an event through this filter. And we decided we want to experiment with a story of fun and belonging, while also conveying the themes of the conference, which are love, laughter, and legacy. And so the way we're telling this story of belonging through photos is we are showing women of all different ages, all different races, all different backgrounds coming together. And our hope is that, like, what we're sending out in these images is you belong. Like, here's someone like you, here's someone like your neighbor, and we're all here together. And our women's ministry is called We Are One. And so we want to evoke a sense of belonging. And then a way that we, like, our subplot is love, because that's one of the themes of the conference. So we're literally just spelling out love. Like, so our photo is you belong here, but also, like, here's something we're going to talk about. Okay, so that's just kind of how we picked, like, how we chose to tell our story, and a couple of channels through how we chose to tell this story. None of this is random. So we handpicked the women who were in these photos because of the story that we wanted to tell. We chose the women, and then we chose which women were going to be in what photos, because we wanted, it all comes back to the story that we're telling, and everything we do goes through that filter. I'll show you one more example, and this is a snapshot of our annual report from 2016. And this is just another way that we use this as a marketing tool, but also, first and foremost, it is a tool to let us know that, like, people who are giving to Trinity Fellowship, their dollars are really making an impact. And so we wanted to evoke, like, the story that we wanted to tell for our annual report this year was because of you. And that evoking a sense of purpose, context, that what I'm doing matters as parts of the full life. All of our wording throughout our annual report was because of you, we grew, we changed, we connected, we upgraded, and it's all because of you. Thank you. You matter, you are valued, you have a place in the universe, and you are changing lives. And here's a snapshot of it. So step 3 for us, for telling the story, is to monitor and adjust. And we monitor and adjust a whole lot. And what that means is what you're doing working? Like, always put your eyes back on it. Like, we are always analyzing, is what we're doing working? How can we make adjustments? And then that for us, how do we measure our success? Because it's not really in attendance at events. Like, the way that we would say that we measure success, which is really also intangible and somewhat hard to wrap your mind around, is, did we experience God? That's a win for us. The reason that the numbers matter for us is because each one of those numbers represents a person who needs to be living the full life. And so that is what drives us. And that's the reason the numbers matter to us, is because they are human beings that we care deeply about, and we want them to experience the full life. And so that we have other, like, ways that we measure, which is, like, engagement on social media. And then there are ways that we monitor and adjust kind of over time. So the At the Movies mailer piece for 2015, we monitored and adjusted for about 2 years. And last year we were like, what do we need to adjust from that tank that happened 2 years ago? Here's another opportunity for us to do it. So We didn't know what to expect. We knew we were telling the story. We knew we were being concise. We knew what we were after. And people, when At the Movies started, people were bringing in those mailers, had never been to Trinity Fellowship before, bringing them in like they were their admission tickets. So that told me, okay, like this mailer went out a couple of weeks ago. That means they're seeing it, they're catching on to it, they're saving it, they're thinking, having the mindset of, I'm going to church, I need to get that mailer, like even remember, like taking all of those steps, like that told us we're having an impact, like that direct mail had some impact. We got more shares and comments and engagements on social media with that particular campaign last year than anything we had ever done. And so we were, but at the same time, as we were doing it, that was an example of how we monitored and adjusted from 2 years ago to like on the fly in the moment. We're always monitoring and adjusting. Hey, did that post work? Like, let's shift the wording a little bit on this next one and see what happens there. And so you can adjust over the course of a year, or you can adjust by the day. And we aren't like, there are other tangible ways, of course, to measure, like sales and revenue and things like that. But sales might be the thing for you, and you monitor and adjust. That's what we do. So here, this is just the final thing that I want to share with you is one other thing that really has changed our lives in the communication department at Trinity. And it's a hunting analogy. So if you like a hunting for sport analogy. So I know you're like looking at me going like, she's not a hunter, and I am not a hunter. But this was something I could really wrap my mind around, this analogy of precision versus accuracy. And it's something that we use at Trinity in a lot of different arenas. We use it in the communication department. We use it for our weekend services. It just really helps us kind of stay focused. And so I've learned this. If you are a hunter, please forgive me because I'm probably just going to butcher all the like gun talk. But I've learned and heard that when you are sighting a gun, like for the first time, you're going to go out hunting and you're sighting a gun. That let's say, okay, you have your target. So when you're sighting a gun, like first and foremost, like you're gonna shoot places, and you're gonna feel like you're gonna aim, and you're gonna shoot, and you're gonna shoot a bunch of times, and some more times, and some more times, and some more times. And then if your target looks like this after you have shot, likely you've been like moving your gun around, like, okay, that one didn't even make it on the target, so I'm going to aim over here now. Okay, that one shot too high, so now I'm going to aim down here. What kind of shot is this? I call it just bad. It's just a bad shot. In order to for marketing, like this was us. We were all over the place. We're shooting over here. Okay, that didn't work. So now we're going to shoot over here. That didn't work. We're going to shoot right here. That sort of worked. And so let's try that again. But it didn't work the next time we did it. So now we're going to aim like in a totally different place. When in reality, what the gun is shooting accurately, it's your sights and your scope that are out of whack. Your sights and your scope are not matching up to your gun. And so enter for us our full life chart and recognizing what are we actually selling and what aspects of it do we want to sell in everything that we do. And so we begin to work on our precision. And the precision is when you start to adjust your sights and align your sights with what you're doing. For us, it was we want to align our sights with the full life and shoot from that place. And begin to get our gun and our sights aligned a little bit better. And so we started shooting again. And with what we wanted to do was get some precision. And precision is when you are hitting in the same place repeatedly. And so we would try an effort, and we were trying an effort, and we would see like maybe a little bit of success. And that effort might be, okay, for this event, we are going to use our full life chart. We are going to focus in our messaging. We're going to pick fun. We're going to see it through to the end. We're going to tell a subplot of personal growth. We're going to see it through to the end. we're not going to test it and then aim completely somewhere else. Like, we're going to see it through. And then we're going to see it through again. And then we're going to see it through again. And then we're going to see it through again, picking different stories, different subplots, seeing it through the whole way through so that we could know where we were actually shooting. And what we learned is we were shooting, we began hitting the target in the same place, but we were hitting the target in the same place. We were seeing seeing our efforts like kind of start to take shape, and we knew where we were going, but we're aiming in the wrong place now. But now that we have, now that we're doing it, now that we have our process, now that we have our flow, we can begin to hone in on actually hitting the target. And so that is what my team has been working on for a couple of years now. Is there are some areas where we're doing the same thing. Like we got our process down, we're testing messages, and it's really working. And now we're like working on our accuracy. There are some areas where we're still trying to get precision down. Like that social media post did not match what we're doing this week. Like we just changed our story, guys. And we just caught it at the end in retrospect. We changed our story. And so we're reining it back in, keeping our precision down, and precision for us is making sure that we're telling the same story over and over and over again. And now we get to shift to making sure that we're telling the right story. Is fun what we need to sell in this arena? Or would personal growth work better? Is freedom the right thing? We've been telling a fun story, but is freedom actually the story? Would freedom resonate better? But now that we have our processes down, and we have our, we're aiming, we're at least aiming, and we're keeping that aim the same, now we can adjust our sights to aim at the right target. And so this is, a lot of this for us is just practice over and over and over again. Like we are just figuring it out. And we've learned a lot of things. A lot of what I shared with you today are just things we've learned over the last several years. Just about helping us hone in on our messaging, knowing that we're selling something, like we're all selling something, and making sure that we're selling the right thing. And so I want to just leave you guys, we'll open up for some questions, but I want to ask you some questions first, just to think about. What are you really selling? And what do you want to sell? Are those the same things? And if they're not, what do you need to adjust in order to sell what you actually want to be selling? Whether you're a business, or a nonprofit, or more traditional business with sales, whether you are an individual who is promoting a brand, it doesn't matter. You're selling something. We were selling something, and we needed just to figure out what we're actually selling and then sell that.